When tried by fire, every child listens. Confession was held on a folding chair. Among sacrifices presented were minors exposed before the entire congregation. I'll never forget the horror of being subjected upon that oak. 13 the first time it happened. Righteousness be damned. One didn't sin for fear of God, rather shame before men. Baptized under duress, I was beaten into submission, conditioned to believe I'd roast eternal, to reject the broken body, or drinking of blood. The story I was given, a lie. Vainglorious, my father crowing false testimony, having had an epiphany after Nostradamus' prediction the world would end, while he still hadn't made peace with God. Believing the second coming imminent, unrepentant, destined for interminable torment. Removed from the grid, he became convinced only immersion into a specific order might proffer salvation. More one digs, greater the stench. The actual reason my father joined a cult was to separate mother from her string of lovers. Last straw breaking when he found her entangled with his brother's best friend. The hedonistic lifestyle they led had uncle introducing my birth mother to her latest flame, passing her on like a party favor. From whose loins I sprang remains a mystery, although I've heard time and again how another's issue bear uncanny resemblance to yours truly. In seeking discovery, requests for DNA had erected stone walls of snidely state, denied simplest communication by any and all directly involved. Citing fears of retribution, men complicit in affairs concerning my parentage, subsequent upbringing in a cult, and resulting impact upon life, remain silent. How I would this tale were tall, its ogres locked in fairy dust. Sadly, my personal nightmare had only just begun. Let's rewind a spell. Flown to Europe, unaccompanied minors, my sister and I were exposed to heinous rituals and family values. Allow this introduction to my mother's kin, thankfully now dead. Grandfather Deda Beljanski was brother to decorated Serbian war hero and President Tito's left leg, Jovan Beljanski, nicknamed Lala. In celebration of arrival, Deda secured a fatted sow to the courtyard pole, leaving loose enough rope that it runs circles, but insufficient she break free. Armed villagers began to congregate, making merry, throwing knives and axes at the squealing beast from all angles. The blood sport was drawn out a good half hour, till the animal could scarcely whimper. Traumatized, I was handed an axe and ordered to split its head. Ushered toward crimson mass of 100 knives, I knelt, sobbing, Pink's fading eyes begging put her out of misery. I remember thinking I wasn't strong enough, how any merciful blow might only insult. The adults knew this too, and laughed. They told me to imagine the pig as an ustash, meaning Croat. I dropped the weapon and ran, crying. Perceiving me a coward, my embarrassed grandfather angrily assumed the axe, villagers holding me from flight. Cocking for the murderous crowd, he swung as white lightning, sold on what it took to be a man. Miss Piggy's throat was then slit, gurgling ichor collected in a charger for ceremonial delicacy. That night by the plantation, war script would slosh over what pleasures were had in massacring sworn enemies. Seared into memory, how one of the drunks bragged about raping a Croatian girl of about 5 or 6, after which he proceeded to cut off the fainted child's fingers, one by one, the tailor by day explained in detail how he created a necklace for her burial, placing the hand-made choker about the child's own throat, reviving the nudely adorned into the arms of her screaming mother. The same reprobates gouged into the night, arguing over who the cutest girls in the village might be, which of the select were developing, and therefore no longer safe to. Unholy night of cursed rest had me lying awake, protecting Lizzie. Break of dawn found us awakening to the aroma of sizzling bacon, fresh from the killing floor. Underslept, I recall having lost my appetite, of sudden violently ill. Dysfunctional cannot hold torch to the wicked, justifying ungodly acts in dispassion to necromancy. Deda arranged we greet the local craftsman, ordering he forged 2 daggers, pitting me against the man's elder son, Sirbolyub. He purposely had my weapon crafted greater than that of adversary, enmity a foregone conclusion. Believing I might defeat the man-child should he tire, I absorbed blow after aching blow, his fist reinforced by handle of the blade. Despite the pain, I felt genuine compassion for Peach Fuzz, to whom a father bestowed lesser advantage. Now if only convinced the embittered Serb how our energies were better unified. Alas, he wouldn't have it, the old man muttering how a good beat-down would help shape me into manhood, forbid I prove gay. Once the aggressor was exhausted from struggle, I surprised him by a burst of stored energy, leveraging body weight, then pinning him to ground. Unwilling to use my fists, careful to constrain only that he not hurt as I stung. There upon his chest I sat, depriving the would-be victor of oxygen, until, sputtering, he begged release. My condition? Peace, which he grudgingly accepted. Together we destroyed the weapons, becoming bruised friends. Grappling with the concept of a default harmony, Sirbo took to calling me Chudo, which loosely translates to weirdo. Nevertheless, I recognized potential. Exploration favored the kind, with adorable kittens at play, naming all as they scampered about. A grave mistake that evening was in sharing our good fortune, whereupon dozens of neighborhood cats were rounded up, doused with gasoline, individually set ablaze. I'll never forget the curdling feline shrieks, hissing deep into the night, strays bolting for crisp death to the humor of our hosts. At my tearful pleading they stop, I was brought into the midst, presented as mock sacrifice, threatened how, after they had their way with my sobbing sister, I'd be next, thrust from anus through mouth, then roasted upon the spit reserved for Muslims and swine. While one of the teens forcibly held me, another splashed fuel about my clothes, third toying with matches. How every fiber of my being ached for escape. These gypsies could not be my people, of legions untold. Leaden with dread, I stood limp, pants pooling with yellow fear. I cannot begin to express how taxing it is to write of these accounts, unearthing traumas of the crypt. While cathartic in part, the visitation allows for festering of old wounds, open invitation to keloid scarring.